And you better recognize. And you better recognize. What's wrong with the boy, man? The boy goes crazy, man. Shit, man. Move it. Get back. Sit. You motherfucker. Better recognize. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you get 5 minutes to complain and bitch, and then no more. Nah, I tell you, so, this morning was interesting, man. No, I got a phone call at 7, but I missed it. But it woke me up, and I'm not gonna lie, I got distracted for a couple hours doom scrolling. But then once it was 9 o'clock, I was like, all right, time to get up, time to get up. And I was gonna go straight to this drug test that I missed yesterday, but I was like, they told me don't miss the appointment because they can't make a new one. So before I get my day started, I had it in my brain like, even though I'm getting a later start, even though I went to bed at like 3:30 at night, I was like, I'm gonna hit my push-ups first and foremost because it's push-up day. So I get that out of the way, go take my shower. I think it was good because it allowed this girl time to wake up because, I'm very in the morning. I'm just like, once I'm up, I'm like, yeah, and so I've learned like it's good to give people their space because, usually people got to wake up. So anyway, all that occurred and took my shower. I got ready and then she's like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I gotta go take this test and shit, even though I missed it yesterday. But I was like, you know what? I need to get out the house. It's been a while since I've gone for a drive, so it's a good excuse to go for a car drive, listen to some music, whatever. That's my thing, right? Going for drives and listening to music and shit. So anyway, I'm able to clear my thoughts. I go for this drive. I go up there anyway, and it's funny because it's 1:37. I set up an appointment at 1:40, but it's like that was pointless because it was just clear as day. Like I missed my appointment, so I fucked it up. Plus, it said that it expired at 12, so either way, it wasn't gonna work. Um, but I go to get this girl some gas. Somebody calls me saying that they want to have an interview, and I got all excited. I'm like, "Oh, thank you, Lord!" And but it didn't matter because they never sent me the address, or else I would have left like 2 hours ahead on the bus, or I would have asked the girl to borrow her car. But something's been telling me anyway to not ask her to borrow the car no more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's alright though. I mean, it's whatever, but don't be too damn reliant on that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, start catching the bus everywhere, G. Anyway, so I come back And to my surprise, because she's been very distant, she's like, you want to go get lunch? So we go. She said she wants Whataburger. We go get lunch and we're talking, yapping, yada woo woo woo. We come back and we just sit in the driveway, put the sun visor up, and we just sit there eating. And we're just talking and stuff. And she's like, she's like, I really want. She's like, I've been thinking about it, and I really. She's like, I miss you and all that, but she's like, I don't want to get together because I want you to get your stuff together. I want you to, get a job. All that. I want you, she's like, I want extra spending money. She's like, I want you to be able to pay for my nails. Because I told her in the past, I've told her before, like, I'm trying to get to a point where I can make sure she's straight, take care of her. She can get done whatever she wants. But we just start talking and shit, and she's like, she's like, basically she's saying, like, I think I'm in love. She's like, I'm still in love with you, but she's like, I just really want you to get your stuff together before we go forward. And she was like, and if you were to get your stuff together by my birthday, which is in 2 months, she's like, if you were to do that, then you could ask my mom to propose to me. And we could have a barbecue for my birthday here at the house in the backyard. And you could do it. And she's telling me, and I made a joke out of it, whatever. She was laughing. But I was like, you're going to tell me, like, how the proposal is going to go? How, like, what I'm going to do? And, we made fun of it or whatever, but it just goes to show here I was, my imagination getting carried away with me, and it just made me think because I was even getting caught up into it. And I was like, well, and I even told her, I was like, I always envisioned, I had this picture that if I were to ask a girl to get married, we'd go up in a helicopter and I'd have something written on the ground, And she was like, "Oh, you could still do that, well, whatever." She's like, "I know you wouldn't do that because if you were to propose at the barbecue, she's like, my family would be there and you'd be in a crowd or whatever." And it's funny because, and by the way, this is a side note, but when I went to this place to do the drug test, even though it fell through, there was a lot of people in there, and I almost didn't walk in, but I was like, nah, fuck that. Because I was like, I could tell it was a busy place when I pulled up to the building, and I was like, bro, you need to get over this, like, not wanting to be in crowds. And for some reason, I was just thinking, like, because I felt like when I was walking in, I was like, what if you were going to go make a presentation or something like that? So it's like, you got to configure your mind to where it's like, what is it, bro? I had this mentality when I walked in there. I'm like, I'm not better than anyone else, and no one's better than me, bro. You need to forget that people are looking at you because what are they anyway, bro? What does it matter? Anyway, so that's a mindset I'm trying to get in. It's like, forget the crowd, fuck it. And I was even thinking when I was pulling up, I was like, you just need to do before, like, just get more active. Like, when I was a delivery driver, bro, I was talking to all these people, conversing and all that. So by the time I got off, I would want to go out and see people and talk to people and conduct business. So it's like, it's just getting in that loop and doing it over and over again for me. Hey, Chloe, Duke, hey, damn dogs. But anyway, so this girl, and even the fact that I was going along with this girl when she was telling me how I'm gonna propose to her, and she's like, if you get your shit together in 2 months by my birthday, she's basically telling me, if you get your stuff together by this amount of time, you can propose to me on my birthday. And I'm going along with all this and woo, and then we start talking about the house and how the landlords, we get to talking about how the landlords don't really take care of this house. Hey! Cut it out! Stop it! You bastards! Well, that must be for a meeting. But we get to talking, bro, and she's like, oh, if I want to buy this house from them because they don't even upkeep it, and I would do this and I would do that. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, I would want things this way. And she was like, no, sorry, we're doing it my way. And then all of a sudden, I just snapped back to reality, and I was like, damn, bro, here you were again, getting caught up in fantasy. And I just started thinking, like, bro, that's how it's been since, like, middle school, high school. I see a girl I'm attracted to. And I just get into this fantasy. I'm like, oh, we'll get married and we'll have kids and woo. It's like, bro, you don't even know what this girl's favorite color is, bro. But I've always been this daydreamer, just boom, vast, boom. So it's like, even in that moment, bro, I'm getting carried away with all this crap. Like, oh, yeah, we could get married, She's a good woman, actually. She just has an attitude problem. But I'm like, we can get married and we can do this. Wow. And even though she's telling me how I'm going to propose to her, which I never imagined it like that, but she's telling me what I'm going to do. Like, oh, you can ask my mom and we can have a barbecue for my birthday and you can propose while everyone's here. And then she's talking about the house. And I'm like, yeah, I would want a work shed. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I would want it this way. And she was like, well, I was thinking about this way, but okay. And then she was talking about something else. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, I never really liked that. And she was like, well, too bad, Sorry, this is the way it's going to go. And then just like that, I snapped out of it. And I'm like, damn, bro, here you were again so easily getting lost in this fantasy. She's a good girl, and like maybe it could work out, but I don't really see it. Just because already too much, even on the drive to Whataburger, she has attitude and stuff, like no disrespect. She's a good woman, she's a great girl, but and just all of a sudden, even an hour later, I looked at the clock and I'm like, it's been an hour. This happiness, this sublimeness only lasted like 1 hour. And I got carried away in this fantasy. But regardless, because, she's put up with a lot with me. And I was even thinking this morning, like, bro, like, you do have to get it together, my brother. You got to get it together. You cannot be reliant upon nobody. And it's driving you kind of crazy, like just not going to a job. You need routine. You need to go out and do stuff. Like, I got routine, bro, but it's like, what? Your push-ups and your little workouts and shit, or journaling or studying and all that. That's great. But that's all the extra stuff. We've already stated this. Like, you need to do the ordinary. You need to do the meat and potatoes, bro, before you get to the sides and shit. You need that hearty stuff, right? Because it's just been too damn long, bro. But you already know you got to stand up for yourself, G. You can't make all the money, have all the resources, and be led astray by a woman. Because that's the type of environment that you're in, no disrespect. A woman giving orders and all that, and it's not even biblical, because how are you going to have some decision making and she's going to override that? I mean, not to be disrespectful, bro, but like, that's Antichrist, G. The man has to be the man in the house. And you have to fear God. This is what I was thinking earlier. because I saw all these women outside, and just something was telling me like, keep your head, look at the sky, look straight to the sky, don't look at them. And I was like, I daydreamed someone being like, wow, you're very respectful of her for not looking at women while you're in front of her. And I was thinking, no, I'm not respecting her at all, actually. I'm respecting God. Yeah, and I've heard it said before, like, you should you should never fall in love with your wife. You should fall in love with God. And therefore she'll fall in love with you. But I don't know. but that's kind of over the top to say that you should be focusing on God. And that's pretty much it, G. I don't know. Just wanted to talk about that.